More on the UN General Assembly with our presidential correspondent Mzwandile Mbeje all the way in New York. A very good afternoon to you, Mzwandile. President Jacob Zuma has just signed a nuclear treaty. Give us more details about what that treaty actually entails, Mzwai.
Thank you very much, Alicia. Indeed, this is a very important signing that the President has undertaken together with 36 other countries. This treaty is basically being signed to prohibit the use of nuclear weapons, especially, Alicia, the rhetoric that we are hearing from North Korea, and time and again, North Korea then tests its ballistic missiles, and then you heard yesterday what President Donald Trump was saying, I mean, if North Korea continues on this path, so they might be forced to totally destroy it. So you can see that, I mean, the weapon that can do that is nuclear weapons. So what happened today was that the Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, convened this meeting of these countries which are really committed to end the use of nuclear weapons, because the nuclear weapons are the most dangerous weapons that you can think of. So if they continue to be in existence and they're in the hands of wrong people, indeed, we can have a situation where really one country can get exterminated. And as President Trump warned yesterday to say, if North Korea continues, they will be forced to destroy it. I mean, it's quite scary, Alicia. So, but we hope with initiatives like this that the UN Secretary General has led, they would really get everyone into the right direction. And of course, you know, South Africa actually voluntarily gave up its nuclear ambitions because it prefers to have a situation where just about everything will be negotiated. That's why you saw President Zuma as one of the leaders among the 36 leaders, which include countries like Brazil, Cote d'Ivoire, and other countries, saying, no, we are committing as the nations of the world that the use of nuclear weapons is not desirable because its consequences are ghastly to contemplate.
Mzwandile, now the President is also expected to address the UN Assembly today. Any idea what he'll be talking about?
Alicia, later on today, in fact, at about, I think, South African time, it will be about 9:30 p.m. The U.S. time, Eastern, it will be about 3:30. The President will take to the podium to talk to world leaders, setting out the vision of South Africa, how South Africa views the situation around the globe. And, of course, talking about the issue of the SDGs. And you know that this session is a very important session where countries of the world come and really put their statements because you know what the country would want to do is that time and again it must be able to then take into confidence some other countries. What is it that it intends to do? How does it want to work with other people? What plans does it have? So that is what we expect from the President. You know, there is the issue of high unemployment back home, the issue of poverty. So the President will be speaking, assuring the world that South Africa is doing everything that it needs to do in order to get us on the right path so that we are able to also attract investment. You can't hope for a bigger platform, Alicia, than this, to be able to say, despite the challenges that you have in your country, but you are able to come to your peers to say, yes, we have problems, but these are the plans we have. This is how we plan to sort out these things. So that is what we expect from the President. And of course, he may not necessarily restrict this to South Africa. He may also speak generally about the African continent, because as much as there are other leaders from the African continent, but it's very important because South Africa is definitely the leader on the African continent. So what it says, other countries take note. I can tell you again, Alicia, that yes, in the next hour or so, President Zuma will be part of those presidents who will be meeting the President of the United States, because President Donald Trump has convened about 16 African presidents. They are talking about a number of issues, including the UN reforms and then the projects that the presidents from Africa may hope to get from the United States.
Mzwai, let's expand on those resolutions there. I mean, talk to us about the importance of this UN General Assembly. Are there any effective measures that are taken upon here that are literally binding to all the member states to implement?
Alicia, perhaps if we talk about the UN General Assembly, you know that this is the body really that gets everyone involved. And there have been concerns in the past that, yes, when it was established in 1945, it was meant to maintain peace and security in the globe. And I would say, by and large, it has succeeded in doing that. But fast forward to today, Alicia, conditions have changed on the ground. And you remember, right now, you only have about 5 countries which are permanent members of the Security Council. Mm-hmm. So basically what that means is that if there's any decision that is taken, you've got to have these 5 countries agree to it. If one of the countries says no, nothing can move forward. That is why the UN is very important in terms of looking at the issue of reform. So in today's reality, is the UN still relevant? Yes, it's relevant because it's still able to, by and large, maintain peace, though we still have pockets of conflicts here and there. But you need a new way of addressing today's realities. In fact, you had even the US president talking about the issue of the UN. Maybe he may have come from a different perspective, but I think there's a general view that as much as the UN is a necessary body, it does need a bit of reforming so that it's able to deal with the issues of today. It's able to bring everyone together, talk about issues, but it's not helpful just to talk about issues and then you are not able to give solutions, and those solutions which are really based on the conditions on the ground. As I said to you, if one of these 5 countries says no, nothing gets done. So you can see, indeed, the issue of reform is very important. So this meeting that US President is having with African leaders will be very crucial. I can tell you one of the issues the African leaders have been saying is that they need the UN to reform.
Absolutely. Mzwandile Mbeje, our presidential correspondent, all the way out in New York. We understand, of course, he's just confirmed that President Jacob Zuma will be addressing the General Assembly at around 9:30 p.m. That is Central African time. So keep it locked to SABC.